G'day guys and welcome to Aussie English. My objective here is to teach you guys the English spoken down under. So whether you want to speak like a fair dinkum Aussie, or you just want to understand what the flippin' hell we're on about when we're having a yarn, you've come to the right place. So sit back, grab a cuppa and enjoy Aussie English. Hey guys, welcome to this podcast episode of Aussie English. Today I wanted to do something a little more fun and probably a little more risky, but screw it, let's do it. This is how you would call someone effectively an idiot in a polite way or without being too rude. So all of these words are the kind of words that you could say in front of someone. Not necessarily formally, but they're not really rude words. So if you were to say these kinds of things, people wouldn't necessarily have the right, not the right, but they wouldn't take offense. You know what I mean? They wouldn't say, how dare you say that word? Anyway, let's get started. So for one, you can call someone an idiot. An idiot. I-D-I-O-T. You're an idiot, mate. Bill's a real idiot. That guy is an idiot. So that's the first word. And all of these other words are literally just synonyms, other ways of saying that someone is an idiot. Moron. This is one of my favorite ones. This is one that I would use quite a bit and I think is very Australian. My parents use this. My father uses this quite a lot. He'll yell at the TV, always saying, oh, that guy is such a moron. Or, how did that footballer not kick that goal? What a moron. This politician is such a moron. He has no idea. So that's moron. M-O-R-O-N. M-O-R-O-N, moron. And then we have numpty. This is probably less common, but it's definitely used from time to time. Probably by the older generation, less often with younger people. But numpty is spelt N-U-M-P-T-Y. N-U-M-P-T-Y. And if you're a numpty, again, it just means you're an idiot, you're a moron, you're very simple, you're stupid, you're a numpty, mate. I think that guy is a total numpty. He is a real numpty. The next one, dipstick. So a dipstick is what you use in your car to check the oil. So if you're unsure how much oil you have, you'll pull out that long stringy piece of metal, which is called a dipstick, and you dip it into the car engine to see how much oil you have. So you can call someone, again, a dipstick. And this is also quite Australian, quite often used here. You're a dipstick, mate. I think you're a total dipstick. Stop being a dipstick. It's exactly the same as saying idiot, numpty, and moron. Dipstick is spelt D-I-P-S-T-I-C-K. So dip, D-I-P, and stick, S-T-I-C-K, but it's one word, dipstick. The next word is twit or twat. These, I think, are pretty English words. They originate from England, but they're used every now and then. And again, it's a relatively polite, cute way of saying idiot. So my grandparents or my parents would say, oh, stop being a twit. Don't be a twat. And these are spelled T-W-I-T and T-W-A-T. Twit and twat. Another one is doofus, D-O-O-F-U-S, D-O-O-F-U-S. This one I think is more American, but again, it's used quite a bit here in Australia. So you can call someone a doofus. This is one of those ones like twit and twat that is very mild. So it's not as full on, it's not as nasty as saying you're an idiot, mate, or a moron. And it's the kind of word that if you called someone a doofus and you were trying to insult them, they would probably just laugh because it's such a cute kiddie, young kind of word to use. Someone's a doofus. Ah, you're such a doofus. It's almost a nerdy, geeky word to use. Like, it's a little embarrassing. It would almost be, if you were to use that word, it would sound to me like you're really, really trying to avoid bad words if you were calling someone a doofus because you're afraid of being impolite. Numbskull. That's another one that's probably a little nastier, but it's not really, numbskull. That just means that you've got a numb brain, or that you can't think properly, or, if something is numb, it means that you can't feel. So if you get an injection in your gum, in your mouth, when you're going to the dentist, your gums go numb, your face goes numb. So if you have a numb skull, it means that you can't feel anything in your head. So you've got a thick head. You don't react to anything. You're a numbskull. Numb. So there's a silent B in there after numb. And skull is skull. And again, it's a one word. Numb. Skull. Numbskull. One that's a real ochre Aussie bogan slang term to use is galah. And if you call someone a galah, it just means that you're, again, an idiot or a moron or maybe a bit loud. Because a galah, Galah, is a parrot in Australia, the pink parrot with a white crest on its head that makes a lot of noise. So they're often in massive groups, often tens of birds, sitting in trees, being galahs, acting like galahs because they are galahs, and making a lot of noise. So you can always say, stop acting like such a galah, Don't be a galah, which means stop being loud and stupid. This is one of those words that is, again, probably said a lot more by the older generation and probably by people further out in the country, more rural areas where people use slang terms a lot more often. I don't think I would ever have used this phrase before. I've definitely heard it, but it's not the kind of language that I would ever use in the city with the friends that I know. And I think particularly because it's so Australian and so many of my friends aren't from Australia, it's the kind of word that I would always have to explain if I decided to use that, on my Estonian friends. They would just look at me like, what are you talking about? Bogan, this is a total classic word. It means someone who is uneducated and has a really thick accent, a really strong accent. So if you were a bogan Australian and you were to say that sentence, if you were a bogan Australian, you'd sound like this. If you're a bogan Australian, mate. That's the kind of accent a bogan has. It's so, so strong. They tend to be really unpleasant, uneducated. They would be the kind of people that would drink in public where you're not meant to. They're really loud. They swear a lot. They often don't dress very nice. So a bogan is just an uncouth, unpleasant person who tends to not be very intelligent. It's not often used if you're wanting to call someone an idiot, but if they behave in that kind of way, you could be like, stop being a bogan. Don't be such a bogan. You're acting like a bogan. So for me, that would be the kind of thing I would say if I had friends who were putting on an accent and really swearing a lot in public, or just being unpleasant. I would say stop being a bogan. A dill. This is another one like doofus and twit that's kind of really polite, pleasant. Dill, D-I-L-L. And it's the kind of word that it's very cutesy. It's very cute. It's kind of almost funny if you say it. You would never say this in anger. You would say it almost endearingly, as if you like the person and they'd done something silly or funny or stupid. And you're saying, you're such a dill. Like, don't be such a dill. D-I-L-L, dill. The next one is dag, and this is just like dill, where you would use it more in an endearing kind of way, where you like the person, and so they've said something that's kind of daggy, a little bit silly, a little bit stupid. Dad jokes tend to be daggy, so if my dad made a joke that was, incredibly stupid, but not offensive, I would say, oh, Dad, you're such a dag, or Dad, stop being a dag, or just you're a dag. That's a really common one, really, really common one with Australians, dag, D-A-G. And it's funny because it originally comes from the word that we use to explain the wool on the backside, on the bottom, on the rump of a sheep when it's been brought together in like a dreadlock, in like a clump of hair, and it's from the poo that a sheep has left on its fur, on its wool. So when a sheep poos and it gets a little bit of poo stuck in its wool, the wool starts to clump together and turn into locks of, nasty hair, and that's it hangs from the animal's backside, from its bottom, and that's what a dag is. I don't know why it came from that word, or that why we use it. There's probably some crazy explanation that I have to look up and explain to you guys at some point, because I'm sure it's funny. But that is the term dag, and that is one that I use quite often. The last or second last one is airhead. So air and the word head. You probably can guess what I'm saying. If I say someone is an airhead, it means that they have air in their head. They don't have a brain. Their head is hollow, so they can't think properly. They're stupid. It's pretty benign. It's not very offensive. If you call someone an airhead, it just means you think they're being stupid, but in a very, it's really not offensive. You could say this to just about anyone. If they were doing something silly or stupid, you could be like, don't be an airhead. You're being such an airhead. Again, it's one word, A-I-R-H-E-A-D. A-I-R, air, and H-E-A-D, but one word. And the very last one on the list that I have today is dimwit. Dimwit. And this again is two words that's been put together into one word. Dimwit, D-I-M for dim, and wit, W-I-T. D-I-M-W-I-T for dimwit. And again, dim means, for example, you can dim the lights, and that means to turn the lights down. You would often say that if the lights are too bright inside, you'd be like, oh, can you dim the lights, turn them down? If you were driving on the road and you had the high lights, the really, really powerful lights on, you can dim them by switching to the other lights. And if you were to call someone dim or dim-witted, it means you think they're stupid or that they don't know very much, they're uneducated. If someone is dim, it means that they're uneducated. So wit, the word wit is sort of how clever you are. If you're witty, it means that you're very clever. So if you were to say he has a lot of wit, it just means, really, really clever. So if you're a dimwit, it's kind of the opposite of being witty, and you're suggesting that the person is silly or stupid again. So I hope you like those list of words, guys. I'd hesitantly say use them with your friends, especially if they're Australian, but just be careful how you use them, because one, you may confuse people when they hear a foreigner using these words. So they may just be like, he couldn't have just said that. That's a very slangy word. So what do you mean? You may also offend certain people. I can't speak for everyone, obviously. I can only speak for me, and I'm sure most of you are lovely people. Almost all of you, if you're listening to this podcast, are lovely people. And if you were to use these words on me, with me, it's not the kind of thing that would really upset me. It would more or less make me laugh, and I would enjoy it. But that said, if you're going to use any of these words in language, just be careful how you use them when you're speaking to people. And I would almost bring them up in conversation jokingly and say that you learnt this word, and can you give me examples on how to use it? When would you use it on me? How would I ever use it on you? And play with it until you get a real sense of how you would use these words. So this is the kind of advice that I would give people when they're learning any kind of what we call rude words in another language, in English, whatever language it is. Just be cautious when you use them, because you don't want to use them in the wrong situation. Anyway, this episode's gone long enough. I hope you really liked it, guys. I hope you don't think that I'm a moron, numpty, idiot, dipstick, twit, twat, doofus, numbskull, galah, bogan, dill, dag, airhead, or dimwit, unless you're laughing. And I'll see you next time. Have a good one.